bit of a brief introduction, a bit of an icebreaker, and just a little bit about getting started as a non-tech founder, and then why should you be a builder on Algorand. Then we're going to try do something, of course, live demos, as we've already had trouble with Cloudflare this morning. It's going to be interesting, but we're going to try do it together. So if you do have a laptop, you can feel free to join along. If you don't, that's totally OK. You can do it afterwards or in your own space and time. But we'll be looking at one of the templates that we provide through our startup challenges programs and our Web3 masterclasses, which I'm sure you'll hear about later as well. And then, lastly, then it'll just be a wrap-up and welcome to the Algo fam. So let's get started straight away. So my name is Sara Jane. I'm a junior developer community advocate at the Algorand Foundation. I've been in the ecosystem for nearly 5 years, but officially with the foundation for a year and a half. And one of my big passions is learning and teaching people the possibilities of blockchain technology. So please feel free to scan the QR code, send me a message on Telegram if you have any questions, whether it's at 2 a.m. in the morning, you can send me a question and I'll probably answer it maybe a few hours later. But yeah. Alrighty, so getting started as a non-tech founder in Web3. And you might also know this person. This is Mark. He's a CSMO, and he gave a speech a bit earlier, which was super interesting. But now we're going to look at how we're going to get started as a non-tech founder in Web3. Firstly, what does blockchain actually enable? If we think maybe outside of Algorand, we just think in general. Blockchains help with transparent record keeping, also data sharing. I'm sure many of you already know this, or maybe you're completely new as well into the blockchain space, which if you are, welcome. But also information tracking, credible commitments, automated conditional payments, and things like tokenization as well. And so many more that I'm sure many of you can come up with examples. OK, so this is kind of like a question. It's not a trick question, but I am always curious when I do ask this, what do people really think? So let's see, how will I do this? Hopefully people will just shout out opinions, or we can do a hand raise. But can you build a Web3 startup without writing a line of code? If you agree, put your hand up. And if you don't agree, put your hand now up. OK, there we go. OK, can I ask you for your opinion? Can you tell me your thought process? Yep. OK, perfect. Yeah, that's really interesting, because I think when you look at the word Web3 startup, right, are we talking about mainstream, like production level ready startup, or are we talking about a startup who is just getting started and they're just in the proof of concept stage? So things like this. So hopefully I'll be able to change your opinion a little bit for maybe certain areas of this. But that's just like a question I like to ask. I think it's fair on both sides. So awesome. So next is why be a builder on Algorand. Firstly though, this is our community. This was our last Decipher event. So lots of good vibes. As all of you guys are here, you can probably already feel it, I hope. So along with this, I'm going to talk a little bit about what Algorand is, just for a brief introduction. I know my colleague Joran gave a bit about Algorand earlier on, but perhaps some of you are new here, so I'll just do another brief one. But to put Algorand into one sentence, Algorand is an energy-efficient, quantum-secure, single-layer blockchain with instant finality, consistently high throughput, and low fees. And it's been operating at 100% uptime for 6 years. Now, there's a lot of jargon in there. So for one of the things is the quantum secure, which Mark talked about a little bit earlier. Just to give maybe just a brief context of that is, for a blockchain to be quantum secure, it needs to work on 3 different things: the history of the ledger, as well as the consensus mechanism, and then the account signatures. So Algorand is 2/3 of the way there, but that is why it is there, just to give a bit more context on that. But we've been operating at 100% uptime for 6 years, which is pretty impressive. And all of this uniquely enables solutions that scale. So everything we do, from investing or from programs. It's all about helping with scalability for maybe your startup, or maybe if you're a developer and you're looking to start working on other Algorand projects in the ecosystem. And then lastly, we have some of the, it's always easier to understand things by just looking at the numbers, I think. So in the left, we can see Algorand can theoretically hit 10,000 transactions per second. There have been cases of like community people sort of aiming higher. So I think at one point it did reach like 12,000 for a little bit. But we say 10,000 because it's just it's certain for sure. And then we also have a less than 3 second block time, which is very fast. And I know there's other blockchains where they could be a bit faster, but the difference is, if you see, we have instant finality. So when you send a transaction to the network, it takes, on Algorand, less than 3 seconds, and then it's instantly final on the ledger. On other networks, you'd have maybe transactions could take a few seconds, could take milliseconds, but they still have a confirmation time. And the issues with that, and this is why it's so unique about Algorand and powerful, is you don't have to worry about things like reorgs or rollbacks. So rollbacks is basically when you have a confirmed amount of transactions and then they just roll back. So it's quite a traditional idea, actually. But in blockchain, you shouldn't be able to change the history of what has happened. So along with that, because there's instant finality, there's also zero forks. So you don't have to worry about the chain forking off and a bunch of valid transactions just being completely destroyed, because there can only be a single chain of truth for a blockchain to actually work in the way it's supposed to. Then we also have the transaction fees, 0.001 algo. Essentially, the way that I always explain this is, imagine if you have a penny, like a US penny, and you cut it like a pizza into 10 slices, and 1/10 of a penny is how much it basically costs to do a transaction on Algorand. So it's pretty good. In the bottom row, we can see some stats. This was recorded in May 14, 2025, so obviously it's been a few months, so I hope you would expect this to have risen. But we have over 50 million blocks, and inside of those 50 million blocks, we have generated over 3 billion transactions. And then we also have 2.4 million monthly active users. So I noticed when I started doing presentations, people really found it useful to know the on and off ramp situation with Algorand and the exchange support. So I decided to keep it in here. So we're supported by the top exchanges, more than 70 of them. So there's Coinbase, Binance, Bybit, Crypto.com, and probably some more that you recognize there as well. And then USDCA, so that's obviously the USDC stablecoin on Algorand. So it means it gets all the benefits of being super fast, super cheap, and even having a touch of quantum security. But we're supported on Binance, Coinbase, CoinStore, Crypto.com as well. And then lastly, the on and off ramps. We have Alchemy Pay, on-ramp money, TransFi for also the off-ramping of it, and then MoonPay, Transact, CoinGate all do the on-ramping. Okay, so now let's get into the actual tutorial of what we were going to be doing. So firstly, I'm going to take you through some of our ready-made templates. We use this in the startup challenges and in Web3 masterclasses. It worked really well for non-technical founders who have never coded in their life. They're just maybe started using LLMs to, I don't know, ask different questions, and then they can start to ask them maybe technical questions or more on the front end side of things, because a lot of the data out there, if you use things like Claude is a good one, or ChatGPT or Copilot, all these things, Python and TypeScript has been out for a long time, and so it has a bit more data or a bit more know-how in a much faster way. So we'll be checking that out in a bit. But inside of this template, we have a few things actually. So we used AlgoKit. It's our developer tools. But when you do AlgoKit init, you basically initialize a project, and it will ask you a question. Do you want to build a front end, a back end, or a full stack? So say if we were like, let's build a full stack project, then it will completely scaffold the entire project. You'll have your back-end directory and your front-end directory, and you can just start focusing on the code rather than trying to set everything up. But now we're going to go even simpler than that, and we're just going to focus on the prompts that we're going to make for it. But inside we have Wallet Connect, payments, and even atomic transfers, which I'll talk about later, NFT minting, token creation. Because the really cool thing about Algorand is you don't need a smart contract to do a lot of cool things. And so doing things like creating tokens, atomic transfers, you don't need a smart contract. Whereas on another possible network, maybe you would have to build out the atomic transfer logic, and that can take a lot of time and money, especially if you're an early startup and you don't have that at the moment. So this is a slide of why use templates. Firstly, you save time, so you don't need to build from scratch. You can also just get more familiar with how does this environment look. They're also pre-tested and reliable, so you can skip the setup phase. They're also very easy to customize. So we made this one for our programs, so people can just go in. If they want to keep payments, they can keep that, and they can get rid of everything else. Or if they want to keep token creation for their demo, they can keep it. Things like this. And then lastly, it lowers the barrier for both technical and non-technical founders. So the way that I normally do this is, because it's going to be non-technical, but I still think it's important for you just to see the code of what is happening. But you don't need to understand it because we're going to get AI do it. But I think it's still good just to have, just a picture in your head of what it is. So this first one is for Wallet Connect, so it lets you log in with a wallet, just like signing into an app. It supports Para, which is Algorand's wallet, so if you haven't got Para, I definitely recommend it. There's also many more as well, like DFly, Loot Wallet, and plenty more. Para is a Algorand mobile wallet, so it's non-custodial. No worries, no worries. So you can get it on Android or iPhone, and it's just a way for you to store your assets on the Algorand network. Perfect. And the last one, yeah, it unlocks all the Web3 features. Once you sign in or log in with your wallet, you can now do payments, NFTs, or token creations. And this is what it looks like on the basic UI front. We made the UI super basic, but we're going to be it's a bit more cleaned up now, but we're also going to be making it fancier together with prompts later on. But this is what it looks like on the front-end side, for example. You can completely redesign this in whatever way you want as well, but just to show. Next is NFT minting. And if you see, I have the red underline, so you can see exactly where it is. So when we enter our front end, we look at source, and then we go to components. You'll see an NFT mint file. And so there's a lot of things inside of these files, maybe for design or looks, or maybe for user interface. So if you do something and you need the user to also know what is happening, you can do that there. But the actual logic of the NFT minting, as you can see, is here. And one thing I love pointing out is, if you see, it says await algorand.send.assetCreate. It's very readable. So what are we doing? We're using Algorand. We're sending a transaction to the network, and we're creating an NFT, so asset create. So it is quite readable. And this is what the front end looks like. That is obviously my profile picture as well on Twitter. Next, we have token creation. So it's, once again, quite similar again. You just need to fill out those sender signers, but you also don't need to do that when you have LLMs that can do it for you and use our libraries. But this one, you can just launch your token in seconds. You can set certain decimals. Maybe if your startup is interested in doing loyalty points or community tokens or governance, that might be a good one for you to look at. And then this is what it looks like on the front end side of things. Of course, the front end can change all depending on what you need to do. And one of the big focuses that you should have as a startup is on user interface. You need to make it super easy and break down all barriers. That's why Algorand's focusing so much on abstraction. And then the next one is transaction and payments. So this is send or receive USDC tokens or algo tokens, for example. I will be covering a little bit later about opt-ins, which is a more of a unique thing of Algorand. But essentially here we can just see it's a send payment, and we just put in the address that you would like, or maybe in the front end you would just have paste an address or different things like this. But this is inside of the components file again, and it's transact. Now, the reason why you may need to know the locations of these files is because then when you go in, the logic's already there. You can just copy that logic, or copy the entire file, put it into an LLM, and write a prompt of what you would like to have back. And so then you would be able to start building your own idea. This is what the front end looks like. So send a payment. There's a mini toggle for algo or USDC. But I will talk a little bit about that later. Oh yeah, here we go. So I'm going to try keep it simple with what is an opt-in. But essentially, on Algorand, if you do any transactions, you sign it with but the fee is in algo, for example, and everyone is already like opted into Algorand, of course, if you're using the Algorand network. But if you want to maybe receive USDC or another stablecoin, or maybe if you wanted to receive a meme coin, you would have to opt into it, and that's sort of saying like, yes, I'm happy to receive this token. And the good thing about this is you don't have to worry about spam or these random, really bad meme coins entering your wallet, so you can keep it nice and clean, which is really handy actually. And then it's only a one-time setup. So once you opt into an asset once, you don't need to do it again. So it's nice to know. And if you wanted to opt out, you can do that as well, as long as you don't have any of that token left again. Alrighty. So this is what it kind of looks like inside of the code of it. But it's one click, the user opts in. There's no sort of really manual steps, and you can use UI to make it even better. So if you have your own token for your project, and instead of putting your asset ID and people have to take out their their wallet and type it in, you could have it also that once they log in, they can click opt in, and then it will send the transaction to their wallet, they sign it, and now they're opted into your token. So this is what it sort of looks like. Very simple button. It's just opt-in USDC. And now let's talk a little bit about atomic transfers. So it's a really, really powerful feature, and there's absolutely no smart contracts needed. Personally, that blew my mind when I heard about it 5 years ago. But what it is you can bundle up to 16 transactions, so they either all succeed or they all fail. So say if me and Joran and Camilla were to say, okay, let's have a handshake, and at the end of the handshake then, say we all got some Algorand can water. But if I was to decide, no, actually, I'm not going to do this anymore, then we just would never receive the water. But if we were to all do the handshake and did it at the same time, we all agreed, then everything will go through and everything's completely fine. So you're just bundling up a bunch of transactions, and then they get done all together, and it's instantly final because we have instant finality on Algorand. But you can see here, actually, this was the first $2 million USDC MT bill swap, happened on May 27th, and it only cost them to move $2 million US dollars on blockchain. It only cost 0.002 algo, and it only took 2.8 seconds, and it was instantly final. And so this would be, it's less than a tenth of a penny, once again, so it's extremely cheap. But why does it also matter? Reliability and simpler. So I already mentioned the simpler one a little bit. If you're a startup and you're looking to integrate this type of logic, it's very simple, especially if you show it to an LLM first. But it avoids the more complex workarounds that other blockchains may require. And then on the reliability side, once again, it's processed in one single batch, guaranteeing fairness and security for all parties involved. So this is what it sort of looks like. It kind of sounds mystical, but it's super easy. It's just basically grouping these other transactions that we've seen in the other few slides ago, and then just sending them all to the network together. And this logic is pre-built inside of the transact file, so You don't even have to like know this. If you're a non-technical founder, you can copy this, send it to an LLM, say this is how it's done, and then you can start working on whatever idea that you have in mind. So this is what it looks like, for example, if we're doing one algo and one USDC. Obviously, if the other person has not opted into USDC, they are not going to be able to receive it. But there was one thing I think it's just good to mention with the Para wallet. There's asset inbox, so it basically helps with the UI of I'm going to send you some USDC, for example, and I can send it, and I can you can sort of receive it then and either accept it or don't accept it. But everything that's needed for you to opt into it will have been paid for by me because I'm sending you the token. Alrighty, so now we're going to start getting into more of the actual tutorial side of things. So some of the tools you maybe will need, you can use GitHub account, because the way we do it is completely break it down and simplify it. Instead of like installing different things, if you never installed Python before, if you never installed our dev tooling algo kit before, things like this. And inside of GitHub, we can actually use code spaces. And so what that means is, and I'll show you in a little bit, but you just go to the GitHub page, which I'll share, and you just click enter code space, and it will start building out the entire environment for you, so you can start just focusing on maybe redesigning to what your idea is. After that, we also have AI assistants. So there's plenty out there. Does anyone, I know I've been talking a lot, but does anyone, we'll do some hand raises, make sure we keep the blood flowing, but does anyone here use ChatGPT, for example? Okay, that's a lot. Okay, what about Claude? Claude users? Okay, developers over here. And yeah, any other ones as well. And Cursor, of course. How could I forget? Okay, perfect. And then the last thing I want to show you guys is the reference guide. So I built these step-by-step instructions, super friendly for non-technical founders. They have example prompts. They also have some videos as well. And then one other thing that is quite handy is the AI dev portal. Inside of there is a AI agent called Kappa. I know Joran mentioned it earlier, but it's super good, especially because if you use ChatGPT or Claude, the data is not up to date with our exact tooling, for example. So if you ask it to do something, it might give you maybe an old version. And so if you had a question, you can talk to this AI agent and then get back what is exactly most up to date on our docs, and then copy that into your co-founder, your ChatGPT. Okay, perfect. So I know some people maybe are following along, some may not as well, but you can always replicate this in your own free time. But the QR code for the GitHub is to the template, so that's where you'll need to fork it. I'll showcase everything, do not worry. But if you want to get started, you can get the GitHub there. And then the reference guide as well is just a Google Doc of the instructions that we'll be going through. I'll just give it one more second. Awesome. So, enough theory, let's jump straight into a live demo. And with everything live, it's always a little bit scary, but let's see how we do. Alrighty, so this is what it would have taken you to if you scanned the QR code for the GitHub. So as you can see, you can star it. I recommend starring it if you want to find it easier again. So say if you ever, especially if you're new to developing, and this is sort of very friendly for those non-technical founders, then you can also fork it. And what that does is it just creates an exact copy onto your own account. And that's very beneficial in many different ways, which we will touch on as we go through this workshop. But inside of here, we can sort of see inside the README. So if you were more curious, or if you're at home and maybe you couldn't like make it all for the entire workshop. Inside the README has every single bit of information that you need. So for example, as I mentioned earlier, the wallet connections, the send algo or USDC payments, the NFT minting as well as the asset creation, and there's a smart contract interaction, but we keep it to the default one because we're just focused on the front end and helping people start building proof of concepts at the early stage. Perfect. I think it's just glitching a bit, maybe. Okay, cool. Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Oh yeah, I'll have to put it in light mode as well when we go to the code. But inside of here, we can see some instructions. And also inside of there, I do have a video of how to fork. So if you've never forked a GitHub repository before, it's quite simple. For example, you just click fork. You can change a description if you want or rename it. And after that, it will just reload. And the way to tell that you're in your forked repository is if it's your username on the left-hand side. And you can also verify it there, forked from, and then whatever repository that you have forked. Okay, so now we're going to actually get started with the code space. So first thing it says is click the green code button at the top right of your forked repo and select create code space on main. So let's try this. So here's the big green button. I'm going to click it. And sometimes it actually lands here. And sometimes it can be confusing if you've never used GitHub before. But all you have to do is make sure you click code spaces, and then we can enter. Normally, it'll have like a big green one saying create code space. But if you already have a code space before, you can just click the plus button, and it will automatically create. Okay, so inside of here, and I'll change it to light mode, but inside of here, it's currently just building the code space. Hopefully the Wi-Fi is good, but it's just basically setting up that entire environment that you need, so you don't need to, go install Python, go install AlgoKit, all these things that you should do as you progress, but as a non-technical founder, I can understand it can be difficult or confusing. So we're just going to let it load in a little bit. It's still building out. So when you enter inside of this GitHub code space, you don't need anything. For this, yeah. So for this, the front end is actually written in TypeScript. So, but you have that option if you want to have Python for the back end. But front end, it's TypeScript. Yeah. Yeah, so with AlgoKit, there's like more languages coming on with it, but obviously I'll leave the marketing team to announce those and things like this. But we currently have Python and TypeScript, but we can add more as well because of the way it's built. Okay, so I'm just going to give it a few more moments to load in. Okay, perfect. So we'll move to the next step. So if we look and I always say this whenever I'm doing the Web3 masterclasses or the startup challenges, we read the instructions. If we read the instructions, most things can't go wrong. So once we have opened our code space and it's fully loaded, we're ready to go. And then it says run up the setup command. So because we're using like quite a lot of different things, I made it in a way that you can just run one command and you'll have everything. So we'll start this process now, and hopefully, and one thing as well is you can just basically copy and paste that command into the command line, or if you're a vibe coder but you want to feel like a coder, you can also just type it in as well. And so this is just basically installing AlgoKit for us and everything that's needed to have our template working. So it will take a few moments. Yeah, so, yeah. So while that's still loading, we'll have a look at the instructions of what we need to keep doing. So once we finish and it finishes that command that we have just ran, then we just need to enter the code space, because currently we're not in the code space, or we're in the code space, but we need to enter the workspace, and so that you can actually start changing the code. To do that, you just click open your project, and then you go into the code workspace, click on that file, and it'll give you a button to say open workspace. So far we have done no coding, but obviously we're just getting set up right now. But we kind of wrote one command line, I guess. But once we're inside of the workspace, we'll have to do two things. One is definitely mandatory. The other one is only if you want to have NFTs inside of your project. So let's have a check if it is done. Okay, it's still going. Okay, perfect. Awesome. So now that we have done our one command to have everything set up, we can just actually get focused inside of what we want to build. So I'm going to basically click open workspace. I am also going to change to light mode when I'm in workspace. But now what this is doing, it's opening up your actual code environment. And then we'll be able to look inside of all of our different files and also run the project. So we'll just let it load itself out a little bit. Okay, perfect. So if you can see here in the, I guess it would be the right there, and the left here. Inside of here, we can see we have the root, but we also have our contracts on the front end. So this was all given to us by like AlgoKit. I just did AlgoKit init, and it set up my full stack, and it scaffolded everything for me. The only thing different that I'm doing is I just added a few extra features so people can just get started quicker and have that logic so they can just copy and paste it into an LLM. So if we have a look at our front end, we will see, let me change to, okay, perfect. So if we go into our front end, we can see there was our source folder where I mentioned earlier about where all of these other sort of files are. The one that we're going to be messing with today is just the home.tsx. So that's basically when you open up a web page, that is that file. And so if we go back over here, we can see there's two important things. One, the most important is the environment setup. If I was to run this project right now, there would be an error because, well, if we have a blockchain project, we need to connect to the blockchain. And so inside, I have the exact path of where you need to go to find what you need, but we need to locate the .env.template file. Now, to explain what like .env is simply is, it's where sensitive information is held. And so whenever you post your code or your project onto GitHub, you have to make sure that it is safe, that you don't put anything sensitive, like your paraphrase, for example, onto a public website. That's not a great idea. So normally, with every single project, and because this is a template, it has a .gitignore. And inside a .gitignore, every time you publish your new code, it will completely ignore the .env file, so nobody can see your secrets inside there. But I have created a .env.template where you can just copy and paste and create your own .env. So if we come back here, and we're finding our .env file. Okay, so we found our .env template. Inside of here, what I'm going to do is, I'll showcase a little bit, but here is just uncommented the testnet. So this code right here lets you connect to the testnet of Algorand. So I'm going to do it very lazily. I'm just going to copy all. And next, I'm going to create my .env file in the exact same area as where the template was. And then I'll paste it in, and boom, our project is now going to be able to connect to Algorand. And so now we could actually run the command, and we can see what the template looks like. But we haven't set up the the NFT minting. But for example, I think just so we can see after the whole setup of what it looks like, let's run it. So the way that it works is because this is meant to be a non-technical, founder-friendly template, I have it in a way that you just run in the root, so where we currently are, a command to like npm run dev, and then it will get everything working. So if we had the NFT minting, whenever you're minting NFTs, you have to host the image somewhere. And so a lot of people use Pinata for that. But to use that, you're going to have to go outside of the scope of just in your project, because you need to talk with Pinata to get it hosted. So you would need a backend for that. So this one command makes sure the backend runs and the front end as well. But let's just, yeah. So, yeah, if you're using things like IPFS, people would use Pinata for that. So if we just run npm run dev, we can see our web page is starting to be built. And normally as well, if you're doing NFTs, you have to open up one of your ports. But as you can see, it pops up. It's super easy for you to do. You just click make public. Now we don't need this at the moment because I haven't set up the NFT. But let's have a look actually at what the website looks like. So this is our template that we've just set up right now. We have coded nothing. We've copied and pasted a file. And we can completely change the front end side of it as well if the Wi-Fi loads. Okay, perfect. So inside of here, it's just a very basic template of all the different features that I showed earlier of what it is. So I'll just connect to my phone so we can actually see what's happening on the inside. So I'm going to pull up Para on my phone. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click Connect Wallet to get started. And we can see it gives us a bunch of options. I'm going to use Para, for example. Testnet. Yep. I have a video recorded anyway if it wasn't. Okay, perfect. So we've connected. And let's see. So if I click on the wallet address, it will take us to LoRa. LoRa is just basically a block explorer. You can see what is happening. It is very handy, and I would advise, even if you are a non-technical founder, it's just good to know how to read a blockchain as well if you're building with blockchain enhancement. So we're on testnet, we've connected, and now we can see we've unlocked all of these features. We have the send payment, so Algo or USDC. We have mint NFT, which I will show you. We just need to copy and paste another .env file for that. And then there's a create token, as well as the basic default contract, where it just prints back out a hello world, for example. But let's actually see if this works. So firstly, I will do a normal algo transaction. I'll send it to myself. I copied my address from LoRa. And so when I hit send algo, what should happen is a transaction pops up on my Para phone. So we're completely connected. We've coded nothing. And now we're going to do confirm. I confirmed the transaction, and now it's going to pop up on the bottom left-hand corner that it was successful. So we can actually view this transaction that happened at 2 p.m., 47 and 28 seconds. And we can see I sent myself one algo. But now let's do I really like atomic transfers. So, and my one's already opted in. That's why it's grayed out. So it's just like a small UI thing. Of course, this is like a template. So I know you guys can create way better front ends for sure, especially with AI. So we have the already opted in. So it's grayed out. So I have it opted in. But if I didn't have it opted in, then I would have to click that, or else this just would not work. So I'm going to send this atomic transaction on Algorand testnet. I have to sign the transaction. Once I sign the transaction, we're going to see both of those transactions got completed and instantly final on the network, which we can see right here. OK, perfect. So now let's go back to the instructions. So if you were wanting to do NFT minting, for example, as I mentioned before with the IPFS, you have to do a small setup. So if I was to go to, if I was to go to the .env template in the NFT mint server file, so let's do this. So I'm going to open this one here. Here's the NFT mint server. We have our template. What we're going to do, and there's all the instructions inside of here as well of the environment setup. So how to create a new folder and name it .env. And copying all of this, but there's also the Pinata credentials. This is the sensitive part, so that's why it's in a .env. But the instructions are there. You go to the cloud, you create your, you click new key, toggle to admin, click create, and then you can copy the API C and the API secret and paste them here into the .env, not the template, because the template one goes public, and you don't want to share your keys publicly. So let's create a .env here. And then we're going to paste it. For the purpose of the demo, I'm going to quickly take out this and paste in my Pinata keys, just because we might as well go the full length and mint everything. So I've pasted my API keys. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to, perfect. So we're just going to restart the project. I think you probably don't need to do that, but just to be sure, I'm going to go to the root of the terminal, and I'm going to run the project again. And what we'll see also is in the command line, it will come up if it has been connected successfully to the API. So if we see here, we can see the front end. It says on the server, OK, great, Pinata authentication, OK. And so now we should be able to mint our NFTs. So I'm going to make the port public, so it will be able to communicate with Pinata. But let's see what screenshots I have to mint. So we'll let it load again. OK, nice. So our wallet is still connected. I'll take a quick screenshot here. And now I'm going to click Mint NFT. We'll go into here. And so I just took a screenshot. I'm going to mint this on Algorand testnet, which, as you've seen, the only things we've done so far is copy and paste some files. We haven't even got onto the Vibecoding yet. So, but we're still good on time, so it's all good. So now I'm going to mint this NFT. Hopefully it works. It should work. OK, perfect. I believe I have the transaction right here. So I'm going to sign this. And then we have minted an NFT. And the certain NFT that it is, there's different types of NFTs on Algorand. For example, this one is just an ARC3. ARCs are just standards on Algorand to do certain things. And the ARC3 one is just means it's an unchangeable NFT. So you can't change the image, you can't change the metadata. There's other ones out there where you can change the image. And then there's also other ones where you can change the metadata and the image. Say if you had a really cool collection where you had puppies, and then after they have it for a long time, maybe it turns into a dog. And so you can update that exact NFT. OK, so I was meant to get the asset ID of it. OK, I'm going to quickly mint another one again so I can copy and paste the asset ID. Yeah, because it's testnet. Or I could do it from my account. Yeah. Let's go. Yeah. No, but I didn't copy paste the asset ID, but I'll just look inside the account itself. Let's see. Yeah, this one. Yeah, probably. OK, perfect. So I'd much rather view NFTs on Para Explorer. So I'm going to quickly get Para Explorer. So Para is obviously the Algorand wallet, but they also have an Explorer, which is quite cool. And so one thing to make sure is make sure you're in testnet, because you try to search for an asset that has been created on testnet. You won't be able to find it on mainnet because they're two completely different networks. But if I paste in the asset ID here, we will be able to see that we've successfully minted that screenshot that I just had earlier. Okay, perfect. So I guess the other two things is the create token. For the purpose of the demo, I will just create it so we can all see it. It works and it's ready for you to go in and the ideas that you have to just change what you need to start building what your idea actually is. So I'm just going to do a quick transaction there, sign it. In 2 seconds, we will get the asset ID. And we can just view it on LoRa. So we can see I created a master pass token, just whatever the placeholder was. But you can create your own token with this as well. And we haven't touched a single smart contract yet either. And then the last one is the default smart contract integration that you get when you use AlgoKit anyway. So for example, I will say, hello, Algo Day. And I'm going to sign this transaction. And the smart contract is basically going to reply saying, hello, Algo Day, which we'll see in the bottom left corner. So this is the response from the contract. OK, perfect. So now we can actually get on to maybe more of the fun side of things. But to just do a small little look through the instructions, the one thing about GitHub Codespace is it is a premium feature of GitHub itself, but you can use it for free for like a monthly limit of 60 hours. And so one thing that I advise all of the startups that are going through our programs is instead of maybe doing all your work inside of the code space and then you've hit the limit and you can't get back into it, that's pretty tragic. So instead, if you keep committing, which is also just good practice, if you commit the changes that you do, it will just be uploaded to your actual forked repo. And so when you hit the limit of the 60 hours, what you can do is you can just create a new code space. And then you can enter inside of that. And then you'll have all your code because you kept committing it. And it just makes it easier before maybe you decide to migrate to a more local environment. So maybe if you use VS Code or you hire a developer, they can take it and they can start working with it deeper. But yeah, for example, this is what a commit looks like. These videos are on the README as well. But we can see we went into source control. It's just a few squiggly sort of lines, looks like baubles, I guess. But then, oh. That looks like the video's not working. Let's see. OK, that's fine. But essentially, what you would do is you would just write a little message here. This is an update. And we click commit. And we can confirm everything. And then we sync it. And after that, it's already onto your public repo. Or private if you're building privately. So down here, I have sort of like just the project simplified so you can easily see things. So for example, the front-end web pages, the home page, the main app layout and routing, simple transfer algo and USDC opt-in, NFT minting, and everything else that you need down there as well, just so it's quite easy to see. Because I know when you enter a workspace and you're not a coder, it can be quite overwhelming and you don't know where anything is. So this is a little bit of a guide. And then when we get down here, we actually have a reference guide, which is what we're going to be using. But throughout the startup challenges or Web3 masterclasses, when we're teaching people who have really cool ideas, but they don't know how to start building, we give them a reference guide that they can follow step by step, and they can start integrating their own ideas, their own user interface, and things like this. And then just for if you're doing this at home, there are some videos here on how to connect to testnet on Para. Maybe you've never downloaded Para before, so that's quite handy to know. And then how you can use the Algorand dispenser so you can get your testnet tokens and you can start doing transactions. And then also the USDC dispenser so you can get some USDC and start doing those atomic transfers or whatever else you're building. So they're all in the README. But yeah, next, let's actually go into some vibe coding, because I don't think that was any vibe coding at all. So I'll go to the reference guide. Inside of here, I have it split between startup challenges, and I made a special one for DevConnect. But in here, it's very simple. It's sort of getting started. We already seen the entire how to get started with the code space and load the website inside of the README of the GitHub. But then there's also a small little video of the entire process, as well as the dispenser link, so it's super handy for you to just, not waste time trying to find different things, but actually just be able to get what you need straight away. Inside of here, there is also a bunch of other things, like, all the steps of how to do the minting tokens, and even with those, there are prompts that you can use, and you can paste it in case you can't come up with one yourself at the moment, or you're just experimenting, and it will help you create sort of a prompt. Because there's a few things you can't just write into an LLM, do this, because, for example, if you're really non-technical and you don't know where to slot certain things into different parts of the code, maybe you need to ask for it to send me the whole file back, for example, or maybe sometimes AI likes to do its own creative ideas, and maybe it will take away some of the logic that was already integrated. So always putting into the prompt, do not change the logic, especially if you're just working on the front-end design, is always a safe case. But also, let's just jump into the DevConnect one. So inside of here, we have some Vibecoding prompts that we're going to use. Now, I would always recommend, if you're going to Vibecode, you should have very direct of what you want. And for example, if you don't know how to prompt, or maybe you don't know, say, Tailwind and things like this, well, if you could get a prompt by the AI itself, and so then it will help you write this. So for example, this prompt was written by AI as well. So you could get AI to help write the prompts that you need, so AI can understand it as well. So let's do the first one. So what we're going to do, let me get rid of some of these tabs so it's easier to see. So this is our current sort of template website that we have. And so the first thing that we're going to do is we're just going to keep it super sort of UI is one thing that really needs to improve. And I think there's a huge market for front-end developers to really come in and sort of change the space in the Web3 world. But yeah, so we're going to open the source folder, and we're going to go to home.tsx that I mentioned earlier that we were going to start messing with. So we're just going to open the front end. We're going to go to source, and then we can see the home. And also, one of the cool things inside of here is, let's see, is if we go in, so build faster, I'm just going to search this. Okay, perfect. So what I'm going to do, just to show you, so we've already have it deployed, but we could just add like this. And now we can see it did an update at the bottom of the terminal. And if we go back here, we can see the change that happened. So this is sort of what we're going to be doing. I just think it's good to see the changes before you just go straight into vibe coding. But now let's do a little bit of vibe coding. So the way that we're going to do it is, if we look at our reference guide, we're just going to use this exactly. I think Cloudflare or AWS is back, so I do have it here. So hopefully it works. But we're going to copy this entire file. So once again, we're not even writing any bit of code right now, but we are going to paste it in here. And then the next thing we're going to go is we're going to go into our reference guide, and we're going to take this prompt and paste it in as well. So let's actually take a look at the prompt for a little bit, I guess. So inside of here, we're just saying the goals that we want. We want to keep all existing logic, the imports and the functionality. Do not change or remove any logic. So we know hopefully AI is not going to do anything too creative. Then we're going to ask, can you improve the visual design for a clean, professional look? I already basically did that for this one, so we kind of already have that, but the one big thing that's going to change for this prompt is it's going to have a light and dark mode. And so having a light and dark mode is something that is in many or most Web 2 or the traditional world web pages. So if we copy this, and we go back into our LLM, and we're going to paste. We'll see what happens. When you do it live, of course, I did try and engineer these prompts that they are like, will 100% work, because that's the point of having the reference guide, but we will see what happens. Sometimes it can take a few minutes as well. But in the meantime, we can sort of look at what else we're going to be added into the front end. So the first one is going to be bringing in that light and dark mode. The second one is getting a startup style footer. So having a clean footer, having the quick links that you need to navigate throughout the web page, having the the copyright, having let's see, all these different other features. Yeah, like having the social media icon links and things like this. Okay, so it's still thinking. I do have the premium, so maybe it's thinking extra hard. But we'll just give it a few more moments. Okay. Oh no, I think it's okay hopefully now, but I do have a video, so I can always pull that up if it's worst case scenario. But we can see here, our friend, our co-founder, is working hard. And so it's going to give us exactly back, hopefully, what we asked. And then we can just start styling the front end to have a better user interface, which is super important. We'll give it another few seconds. Okay, so it's still going. Composer? Is it? Really? Oh, wow. That's why you ship so fast. Yeah. Damn. Awesome. So we can see here it's finished. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy the code, and then we're going to go back into our home.tsx. Let's have one last look of what it looked like before, and let's hope that we, as Vibecoders, got exactly what we want. So if we paste it in here, it has updated in the terminal. We can see that, so we don't even need to redeploy it. We just go back over here. It's going to reload the screen. So it's just the Wi-Fi is a little bit slow, but here we go. So we can see it's pretty much the same. We do have this little connected thing, which is kind of cool, but the main thing that I wanted to focus on was if it has light or dark mode. So let's hope it actually looks well with it. And yeah, we can see it's still quite readable. And so we have a classic feature that is in all Web 2 applications. Okay, so. No, we're not done yet. It gets better, guys. It gets better. So next, we're going to add a complete startup style footer, so we can make sure when VCs or investors, angel investors, or accelerators, when they look at your web page, you can actually have a very clear and neat and tidy web page. So what we're going to do again is, sorry? Oh, okay. My bad. My bad. Oh, we will get some. We'll ask the crowds for some prompts. We will for sure. But we're gonna do these two main default ones, but then we'll go crazy. So, yeah. So next, what we're gonna do is we actually, because we're in the chat, we technically don't need to copy and paste again the same code. So let's see, because then we're saving even more time, another few seconds, to just paste one prompt. So this one, let's give it a go. We're gonna bring it back here. Then we'll paste it, and then hopefully it will send the entire file back again. We'll have to wait a few moments. But while that's doing that, the last one that we're going to do will be adding a waitlist or feedback form, because it's super important when you're building a startup to start getting feedback so you can start this iteration loop of improving your proof of concept. And so add in things like a feedback form or a wait list can be very handy. A wait list so you can show a little bit of traction, especially if you're in the early stage. And so inside of here, it would be the exact same idea. What we're asking for is keeping all the existing logic. We're making a join waitlist or a send feedback section, and the form should include name and email input fields, a submit button. Now, of course, we also say this is a front-end only demo, so there's no back-end or external services. When you do that, you'll have to go a bit deeper, but you can learn how to do it with ChatGPT as well. But if we come back over to our LLM, let's have a look. OK, perfect. It's still coding for us, which is great. And also the key thing here is it's the template's there for you, and there's the reference guide to take you through it. So obviously, I'm hoping every single one of these prompts work, because that's the point of it. If you've never done coding before, or you're in new territory, so making sure that you can do one run through of everything working will give you more confidence, but it'll also, you won't get as disencouraged, like disencouraged. But now we have the code. We're going to copy it, go back into the home. Let's see if this works. So we're going to let it update. And then if we come back here, it's going to reload the page. And then hopefully we'll have a nice professional looking footer. OK, so let's have a look. Nice. We have a pretty nice looking footer. We can see we have the different icons, which are nice and user-friendly. We also have some quick links over here, a nice little built-on Algorand, and a small about section. Of course, all of this information should be about what your company or startup is doing, but this is one to get you started. And let's see if our other thing still works. OK, perfect. It does as well. So AI is being nice to me. So now, let's do the final prompt before we start asking if we have time for some prompts from you guys. We can completely change it. In the startup challenges, we asked the community to come up with some sort of prompt, like, what should the web page look like? And Cyberpunk came up, which was pretty cool. But let's do the final prompt. So I'm going to copy this. And I'm going to go back into the AI, our co-founder. I'm going to paste it. And then we'll give it another few moments, and I have to think about what to talk about in that time. So. Or actually, what we could do is, if you guys want to start thinking of some prompts that you want to have. Do you have any ideas? Yeah. 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 OK, yeah, that's a great idea, actually. So let's see. I think so. For example, you would like it like around here, maybe, or maybe down here as well, built on Algorand testnet, or. For example, if we click on this, we can see there that it is testnet, but I do understand you want it on the main page, maybe like up here. Yeah. OK, perfect. We'll try that prompt right after this one. So here we have our code being written. OK, it's still going. But after that, then we will have finished the sort of, in particular, reference guide for the DevConnect one. For the other ones, we go into like designing how it looks for every single part of this. So this right here is another sort of file that you have to go in and redesign yourself to the way that you want it to look, because we're only messing with the home.tsx file at the moment, which is only this area. And so each one of these have their own file, which I showcased earlier. And you can go in and Vibecode and be like, make this pink, make this red. Maybe do a bit better, actually. Maybe say I want animation and I want smoothness. But now let's see, it should be done, I'd say. Yeah, that's a great idea as well. So we're going to go in here. I'm going to delete all the code, and I'm going to paste in the new one. We're going to give it a second to update. And now we're going to go back to the web page. And so here what we're trying to do is integrate a little like submission form. So let's see if it works. Perfect. So we have a nice join the wait list. And so if we, see that's the creativity of AI. Let's see. So we'll just do test. But like you can go in and do the finer details of things. So for example, you could just tell AI, I want to work on this waitlist section. I want to make sure that people can only put in an email with an @gmail.com. You can go in and hone in on those. But this is just a simple demo. But then you can have like, you could have confetti pop out if you really wanted to as well. But let's go back to, So this was all on the inside of the code space. So you can see we're just doing it in the code space. But if I go over here now and I want to save that code so that when I run out of my 60 hours or for whatever reason, and I need to have the code there, and also it just saves the code. If you were to accidentally delete the code space, you're deleting your entire code as well. So I click open repository from the source control. Inside of here we can see what we've changed. And the only thing we've changed is the home.tsx. So I'm just going to write a commit message. I'll just say vibecoding at Algorand. Yeah, we could ask AI as well to even write our commit message. Okay, so now what we're going to do is publish branch. Okay, so normally you wouldn't need to do this. It's because I use the two accounts to update things. But I'm just going to keep it to my fork one, so my original one. Okay, so git is being git, but yeah. So this is only happening because I'm also coding on the main repository. For your one, it would be very simple, just commit and then sync. That's okay. So next actually is inside of the prompts, there's a little message down here saying, are you ready to deploy? And you can see the guide. And inside of the guide, it talks about how to actually deploy your front end. Because right now we are working inside of the code space. And so if you're working inside of the code space, it's just local to your local host. So we want to have it, if we're building a startup, we want traction, right? The only way to get traction is if you actually have your website live and people can visit it, they can interact with it, they can fill in those waitlist forms and everything like this. So here is the instructions. It's very direct of how to get the front end deployed. We use Vercel as well, which I believe they're based in Argentina. So yeah, so that's pretty awesome. And then so there's two videos inside of here as well, the front-end deploy. So once again, if you're at home, you can still do this, and you can watch those videos. But we can also follow the instructions as well. So if you head over to Vercel, you got to sign up an account with Vercel. But another thing with that is it's important to log in with your GitHub, so it's very easy to just click the repository you want to host. And so what we're going to do is, I actually am going to show the videos here because I already have it deployed on Vercel. So I'm going to show the process here. And so inside of here, I'll go step by step into after you create after you already create your Vercel account. So if you see here, we're going to just do add new. as it said in the instructions, add new project, and inside of there, you'll have to click which repo you want to have visible. I already clicked it as the template. And so next I'm going to do import. I know the screen is quite dark, hopefully it's not too hard to read. But then for the root directory, we're going to put in this, this path. Of course, if you change the fork of the name, you just need to change that to match your one. But then we're going to click open into the projects and the front end, because we're just going to be hosting the front end. So this is inside of here, and when you click the front end, it automatically set a framework as Vite. But the next thing we need to do is to build an output settings. And so inside of here, I already have the commands for you. So once again, you just need to copy and paste. And so I put it in here, the build. And then the output one is just, it's already there, it's the default one. And then this is your .env files. If you remember way back when, we had our .env files where we had our secrets in there, or how to connect to the testnet as well. And so the same thing is they're in your .gitignore. They're not on GitHub, so Vercel doesn't know it. And so what you do is you just paste them into Vercel so it can work with those environment variables. So you just copy and paste exactly from the guide, and it will give it exactly what is needed. And so there is one extra section down there called the Vite API URL, but we can add that later for the NFT minting, because if you remember, we have to go into NFT mint server and put in our Pinata keys so it can actually host on Pinata. So yeah, after this, it's just building. This is the nice thing about doing the recordings. We don't have to have that waiting time, so I sped it up by 10x. But then we can see this deployed my Cyberpunk one. And so we can go to the dashboard and we can go visit it. So if we visit it then, it would be public for everyone to do it. It's not just local. And we can see that it works as well. I think I do a small little test. And then the other one, which is important, is also the backend. So this is only if you actually want to have NFTs in your project for whatever reason. But then we have our backend deployment. So this is what the backend deployment would look like. So I have the instructions underneath it, deploying for backend. And we're going to do the same as before. Make sure you have your Vercel account. You're going to click New Project. After you click New Project, you'll pick the exact same repository. But the difference here is you're going to go to the NFT mint server directory. So we're going to click that, and we're going to venture through our files until we find NFT mint server. And then for the, we don't need to put anything in the build and output because it's just a backend server. And then I pasted in my .env, and we can see it deployed the backend. So now we have deployed the front end, we deployed the backend, but they're not communicating with each other yet. So we're going to do this step that I pointed out earlier, where we basically get the URL of the backend that we just deployed, which is right there. We copy that, and then we go back into the front end. Once I refresh, yeah, into the front end. And then we're going to go into the environment, the .env basically. Through settings, you will find that. And then we'll see down here, we have our current one down below. It's a bit dark, but down below we have everything we need for the connecting to Algorand testnet. And here you can just add your Vite API. And you just need to make sure you put in the URL. Okay, perfect. And then once you save this, it will ask you to redeploy. Once you redeploy, then it will be all connected up to the backend, and then that means you also have the NFT minting available for the NFT minting available while it's hosted as a web page. And the really cool thing actually about this template is, as well as being ready to work with Vercel by just copying and pasting a few commands, we also have it integrated with the analytics on there. So I'll show that in a second, but this just demonstrates that they connected successfully together, and it's doing it on testnet, but it's a public web page now. So I've been minting a lot of master pass tickets, but we can see here, let's go back. Yeah, so if we go to Vercel, this is where it's already been deployed before in that exact way. And so we can go into our analytics. Oops. So we go into our front end, and then we can see analytics. And because it's automatically already built in, that it's possible for the template to actually grab the analytics from Vercel, you don't have to worry about that either. And so then you can go in and you can sort of see where people have been clicking in from, the browsers. And this is just really helpful information when you're applying for things like startup challenges or accelerators, because that's what they want to see. They want to see the traction that you're getting and how many people are actually using the features, and they see a need for your product. So I believe that is the main sort of part of the example. Let me just double make sure that I'm not missing any parts. Oh yeah. Yeah, there's two things I want to say, but this is kind of the end. We had no coding. We did absolutely, we just forked a repository. We were able to get our web page up. We did some vibe coding and made it look a lot nicer. But we were able to mint NFTs. We were able to do atomic transfers. We were able to interact with a default smart contract. And we did all of that just by some prompt engineering as well. And when you deploy it on Vercel, if you go to settings and deployment protection and disable the Vercel authentication, because then anyone can view the web page. So I found that some of the startups that deployed their web page, they didn't know about this, so people couldn't actually use the web page. So once you disable that, then people can actually go in and start using it. And then the last one is the enabling analytics, as I said before. Normally what you have to do is click the enable analytics sort of pop-up. And because it's already integrated into the template, you don't need to worry about it. And then you can just view it from the dashboard. So I guess then, let me do the final few slides. But we did the theory that we needed to do. We were going to do some extra prompts, I do know, but I'm not too sure how much time there is. One more? Okay, we'll do one more. Okay, perfect. Okay, so what was the prompt again? Yeah, okay, perfect. Yeah. So let's come up with one ourselves. So let's see. We could be like, yeah. Would you like to type it? Actually, I think that would be cool. Do you want to try type the prompt? It's okay if you don't want to. That's fine. But if you want to, if you just type here, what type of prompt you want it. So maybe in the main page. Yeah. Let's see what happens. Yeah, I think visual, sort of.
Add a visual representation of the current enabled network to the top right of the page. And remember that
Yeah, perfect. And we'll just say, don't change any existing logic. Awesome, thank you so much. Don't change any existing logic and send back the entire file. Okay, cool. Let's see what happens. And then I think after this one, we should do like completely change the UI to like Cyberpunk or some other sort of example, just to see it's something, yeah.
Turn the page into a scavenger hunt game where we have to click on 3 letters to unlock confetti.
Oh wow, that's a good one. Okay, perfect. So it's we'll let our co-founder once again code for us. Yeah, yeah, that's a really good shortcut. Yeah, that's cool. See what's actually happened. Yeah, and I feel as you do, yeah, as you do a bit of vibe coding, you just naturally begin to learn um, uh, what's actually happening sometimes as well. But let's see, it's still coding for us. Yeah. So this is the current front end. And so we're sort of asking to have a display of what network we're connected to somewhere in the main page, some sort of visual representation. And now if we go back here. Oh, I'll do it locally. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, perfect. We will. 100%. Yeah. Yeah, it's well, what I would do is basically find the network that it's on and then just display. So for example, it's hopefully going to say testnet. Um, yeah, we've already connected to the testnet from our .env file where we copied and pasted. So we're already setting it ourselves that we want to work with the testnet. So let's go in here. We'll have one last look. And let's paste back in. Okay, and we can see a nice visual representation that we're on Algorand testnet. Nice job. Let's see. Yeah, you can sort of see where the actual changes happen. So we can see this is where the visual representation came in. So awesome, great suggestion, really good. Okay, so we'll do one last one, just because we've had very nice suggestions. We have our testnet visualization, we have a waitlist, we have a really nice footer as well. Maybe let's just do one crazy prompt to show AI can do just some mad things, and then we will finish off. Okay, so Jordan, do you have any?
I want to see if it can do turn the front end into an interactive scavenger hunt where if the user clicks on an instance of VIVE in that order, confetti
Yeah, we'll try. Okay, so if the user clicks on the V,
the letters VIVE in that order, confetti will fall.
okay, should we just send it with that, or should we be? I'll say send the entire file back, but should we keep the logic the same, where I guess it's going to do some of its own? Yeah, I'd say so. So I'll do send entire file back, and I'll say don't change any of the original logic anyway. We'll say thank you. Okay. So we're really putting our co-founder to work. It's definitely going to be thinking for a while about this one. Probably about why we're asking it to do it. Oh, VIVE. Was it meant to be vibe? Oh, vibe. Oh, yeah, my bad. That's okay. Yeah, vibe. Yeah. Oh, really? Oh, no. I meant to do that. Yeah.
Another thing I like to do when vibe coding is tell it explicitly, like, if you're unsure about anything, ask clarifying questions.
Yeah.
That like cuts down on some of its hallucinations or like filling in
Yeah.
random stuff.
I've also seen on Reddit you can like basically fine tune your LLM where you say don't talk back or like only give me exactly what I'm asking for and sort of create this sort of soldier of a LLM. But yeah, a lot of interesting things are happening with that. So let's have a look. It's still generating the code for us. This is going to be super interesting. Okay, we can sort of see AI is beginning the scavenger hunt coding for us.
Scavenger means like, yeah, you look for treasure.
This I don't know where AI got that idea from. My God. Okay, so we're nearly there. Okay, so perfect. We have it now. Let's have a look at what happens. First, let's appreciate what we have that's not broken at the moment. And we can also double check that we have our dark and light mode, which also works quite well. But yeah, let's go back to our home.tsx file. And what we're going to do is we're just going to do the same thing. We're going to take away all that code, and we're going to paste in the brand new code. Then we're going to wait for the update to come up in our command line. And let's go back over. Okay.
It's right there for you.
Yeah, wow, okay. Hidden challenge, tap the letters below in the correct order to oh, that's kind of cool though. So if you click it in the wrong order. No, this is the, oh yeah, let's see if it does random or, I don't say so though. Yeah, okay, it's there, but it kind of works where you have to tap it in the correct order. We don't know what the correct order is. So let's first do it, the first test. So V-I-V-E. Okay, perfect. So I should have ended it there. That was a great vibe. But well, we'll stick to the slides. So if you were really, if you enjoyed the presentation, you want to look over the slides again, look at the different codes and the images, feel free to scan the QR code, and you can have it there, as well as inside of the slides, there's the QR codes for the GitHub and the reference guide. They're all super linked together, so it's very easy. And then I'll just wait, or all good? And then, yeah, thank you. I'll send, oh, you guys send it, okay. So thank you guys so much for giving me your time for 2 hours. I really appreciate it. And I hope you have a great day at Algo Day.